Welcome to the Mo Money, Mo Problems podcast.
I'm Ella.
I'm Andrea.
I'm Vanessa.
I'm Amber.
This podcast addresses everything economics, which is the study of the fundamental problem of how people use scarce resources to satisfy their unlimited wants.
Today we will be asking teachers about their confidence in different parts of the economy, allowing us to make an assumption about consumer sentiment at this point, affecting not only political views, but also the health of our economy and the aggregate demand curve.
We predict that most people will not be confident in the economy due to COVID and current government spending, making many people doubt Joe Biden's plan and budget in his campaign for his 2024 presidency. People generally think that GDP, unemployment, and inflation are much higher than they are.
Let's get into the interviews.
What is your name and occupation?
Adeline Marziello, English teacher.
Daniel Coburn. I teach science at Trumbull High School.
Elizabeth Caponenko, math teacher.
My name is Jeff Kayer and I'm a chemistry teacher.
What do you think the current state of the economy is?
I think we're in recovery of decisions that were made previously, like most years with different presidents. One enacts laws that affect the economy, and then the new president comes in and has to deal with the results of that. I know unemployment is down, especially amongst the college educated. It is the lowest, but I also know that inflation has hit people rather harshly, especially in the food industry and fuel.
Well, as I understand it, unemployment is very, very low, and the demand for jobs is high, which has helped increase salaries recently. The issue that I have is inflation has slowed. Again, this is based on my understanding. I'm not an economist, but the inflation rate has slowed. I don't think the government has really done a decent job in addressing what I think the only way to characterize it would be corporate greed. And they've taken advantage of supply chain issues. They're posting record profits. And I think we need to recognize that Wall Street is not the economy, it's the GDP. And so the idea that, I've done my best to try not to patronize industries that I think are engaged in this ridiculous profiteering. But the bottom line is that I think we've got less and less competition. Food industry is a great example of that, and so that is just I think we're on this tipping point that's akin to antitrust. This monopolization of corporations, and it's hurting the middle class, if that even still exists anymore. I don't know.
Unemployment, I believe, is getting better. It's not, the rate is going down. I'm not sure about GDP, and I don't really follow that.
Well, unemployment's at a record low. It's been at a record low for quite some time now. GDP is on the rise, and inflation, I think, is under control. We're much better than any of the other industrialized nations.
Does this affect the way you will be voting in this election?
Yes.
Absolutely. But I wouldn't want you to get a misunderstanding of what I said about how my voting is not that I'm dissatisfied with the economy. I think the current administration has done quite a bit to address it, and I think the biggest problem that we there are, without getting too political, but there are people who think that the way to promote growth and wealth in this country is just to give tax breaks to the rich, which doesn't go back into the economy. If you give tax breaks to working people, they take their money and they spend it back into the economy. They pay their bills, they buy food, etc. Wealthy people, they sequester their money and it doesn't go back. So tax breaks do not solve the problem. Trickle-down economics is a lie. It's always been.
Not particularly. There are many factors about voting. I'll probably think about it a little bit, but it's more widespread.
No, I think my mind was made up of beforehand.
Do these numbers affect how much you spend or save?
Well, of course they do. I don't want to spend a lot of money I try to get a good deal, but yeah, I do my homework and search what are the best deals and what can I get at Costco versus where can I get free gas points. And my house is usually at 63 degrees, so we save on that too.
I want to say that my lifestyle, aside from, I can only say that my late mother is always on my shoulder, and when I want to make a purchase, she always whispers in my ear, "Need, Daniel, not want." And so I think, given the current state of the economy, that I would, I heed that. I try not to make purchases that are too indulgent, but I don't think my lifestyle has changed all that much.
No, not really.
A little bit. I'm just thinking about planning ahead. You have to consider what the state of the economy when you're doing your budgets.
Based on what we saw in our interviews, we can tell that most people are pretty informed on certain aspects of the economy, especially the current low unemployment rate, which is 3.7%, and the low inflation rate, which is 3.4%. However, people were not as informed about GDP, which has grown 3.3% since Q4 of 2023. In general, they all knew the trends of the current economy, but they didn't know specific numbers. Their relative knowledge in the U.S. economy makes sense when you consider that they are adults that actively participate in the economy and are conscious in an election year where they have to choose between vastly different economic plans of presidential candidates.
In terms of the election, some said that the policies and state of the economy would slightly affect their vote in the upcoming election, but most of them had other factors affecting this decision. Most already knew who they would vote for before even considering the economy. In regards to their budgets, most teachers said that the state of the economy would affect their savings and spending habits, but not too severely. Most of them already had budgets, which they might have slightly shifted due to economic changes.
These results demonstrate good consumer sentiment and show that many are informed about the economy. Currently, the Consumer Sentiment Index, an indicator of consumer optimism, is at 76.5, which is lower than the benchmark, but trends have shown that the index is rising. Based on these sentiments, we can assume that people would consume more, which would lead to a rightward shift of the aggregate demand curve. This renewed confidence in the economy is crucial to our society because it shows we can recover from significant setbacks like the COVID pandemic and continue to thrive.
Thanks for listening to this episode.
Hope to see you soon.